on this rather splendid occasion, partly because of the weather. We have a generous donor here, Diane, who's going to say a few words about a generous, very generous donation. We have Matt Quintin, who's going to talk about the many achievements that we've actually been able to accomplish in the last year or so, and we have our local MP Robert Halfon here to actually move a vote of thanks. So without further ado, I'd just like to take you through the programme as I've written it. This beautiful dog is Striker, about 5 years of old. Yeah. So rather cordially, I've called it The Eagle Has Landed, which it has, hopefully now a permanent home for the eagle, and it's got such a strong association with Frederick Gibberd. Frederick Gibberd actually designed the bank and must have worked very closely with William Mitchell to be able to actually install the eagle at the Bletchley Bank. We're led to believe that it was demolished about 1965, and one of Gibberd's associates, Bob Double, who Diane remembers very well, was able to rescue it, and there it resided until Diane made the very generous offer at the beginning of this year to give it to the garden as a resting place. I'd also like to acknowledge at this stage a large number of people who've actually been involved in this enterprise. First of all, clearly, Diane herself for making the donation. Lynn Hinton and David, who are both in the audience somewhere, who actually thought well it was worthwhile actually having it in the garden. And then we're very honoured today, because I had to drag him out of his bed, Tim Quinn and our gardeners who are not here, they apologise, Matthew Taylor and John, and David once again, for actually manhandling the thing, and you can actually see them there dismantling the sculpture in the Finchley garden. Lynn, once again, Robert, Tim and Joe McGill, who actually designed and eventually made sure that the installation went up. Steve and Chris Whitbread were only here 2 weeks ago, the local building company from Old Harlow, and they were able to actually put it up on the wall. And dear old Derek for designing the brochure, so thank you Derek as well. So without further ado, Diane.
Good afternoon everybody. Well, I find it's a great honour to have been able to donate this, and it came into my possession by a very strange route, because in 1987 I bought a house that happened to be next door to Robert Double, who has already been referred to, and he was a partner in the Frank Gibberd partnership. And actually later, when Frank Gibberd died, Bob became a trustee of this very garden. Anyway, so Bob had both gardens. He lived in the house next door, and he had my house as flats, and then he decided he'd had enough of tenants, and so he advertised the house, and my late husband and I came along, and we liked the house and we could see its potential, so we bought it. And of course there was a big garden which belonged to both houses in a way, and Bob said, right, well, you've got to have your garden back. But there was a focal point in this garden, right across the garden. If you stood at one side of the garden, that was the focal point. Deliberately, the garden had been made so that would be the focal point. And I said, well, surely you want your sculpture back now we've bought the house, you know. He said, no, it can stay there. Well, so we had it, and we've had great times with it, because when my grandchildren were very small, my husband used to creep behind and make strange noises to frighten all the grandchildren. We had great times. Anyway, this year, the time had come, I thought that I should be thinking of future-proofing, downsizing, and various people came to look at the house, and I thought, you know what, they're not going to really appreciate this statue. And I knew its provenance, because it was really because of the work that William Mitchell had done on Liverpool Catholic Cathedral that he was commissioned William Mitchell was commissioned by Bob and the partnership to have this hanging on the Bletchley Barclays Bank. So I thought, what do I do? And I explored various possibilities, and then I remembered, because Bob had actually been a very, very good neighbour of mine, and I remembered him mentioning, if we had a chat over the fence, I went over to Harlow today to the gardens, I had a meeting with the trustees and he would tell me all about it. So I thought, you know what, I'll Google Frank Gibberd Garden just to see what comes up. And so I Googled, I had never heard of this place, it's wonderful, and it's a shame I've never been before, but I Googled it, Frank Gibberd Gardens, there it is. So I got in touch and I said, you know, would you be interested? And they came to have a look, and the rest is history. So here it is. I just feel because of the history, it's now in its rightful place in a way, rather than being in a private back garden in North London. Isn't it better? It should be in a place that has to be imbued with the, you know, with what Gibberd himself created. So I'm more than happy.
Wonderful to be in this magical place. I'm a huge reader of J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, what has J.R.R. Tolkien got to do with today? For those who've read Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and even other books like The Silmarillion, the eagle is incredibly important. Whenever there is a crisis, the eagles come and usually rescue and watch over the people who have suffered. And I was looking at the eagle this morning, just thinking about the eagles in Tolkien. And this garden is a very, very special place, because it isn't just the Gibberd Garden, and the house isn't just about the history of Harlow, which is incredibly important. It doesn't just showcase the best of Harlow, which is also very important, but it is genuinely a place of sanctuary and well-being, and a place of the utmost tranquility and beauty. I would call it part of the Natural Health Service, and every time one comes here, you feel better. Whatever your mood, however you're feeling, if you're feeling anxious, stressed, whatever it may be, if you come to this magical place, you immediately feel better. And it's quite remarkable, the work of Mike and you and all the volunteers who keep this garden going, and all the work that has been done. It's very special. And thank you to Diane for giving us this incredible sculpture. It's hard to believe that it was once meant to be going on a Barclays Bank, and has gone from house now to our beautiful garden. And I really believe that this eagle will not only be watching over the Gibberd Gallery and everyone who comes to it, but actually will be watching over the whole of Harlow as well, in the manner of the way Tolkien's eagles watched over Middle Earth. So I wish you every success, a huge thank you to you, and this garden, the Gibberd Garden, just goes on from strength to strength. Thank you very much.
Well, formalities, we're going to cut the cake. I think some of you have seen it. It's actually got the eagle on it. You'll be able, we only just kind of ceremoniously cut it so you can admire it.
Yeah, just give it a good old stabbing, yes, yeah, there you go. Just me.
We're all yours for that.